In this video, you'll learn how to connect multiple data sources to your reports in Looker Studio. You can connect multiple data sources when you want to create a dashboard or report that includes multiple charts, like when you create a social dashboard and you want to include data from Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social platforms. And you can also connect multiple data sources if you want to combine data into a single chart. For example, if you wanted to create a Google Analytics roll-up report. Hey there, I'm Benjamin from Loves Data. I'm going to walk you through some examples of connecting multiple data sources. We're going to begin by connecting Google Analytics and YouTube to present metrics from both platforms in a single report. Then we're going to combine or blend data from two different sources to use in a single chart. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start by creating a new report. Let's select Google Analytics as the data source. And I'm going to begin by adding Google's GA4 Google Analytics 4 demo property. You can, of course, connect your own data source to Looker Studio. So let's select Demo Account. And now let's select the GA4 demo property for the Google Merchandise Store. Now let's click Add. And Add to Report. We're going to keep things simple for this report, so let's change the default chart to a scorecard. And change the metric to users. This scorecard now shows us the total number of users on the website. Now, if we wanted to also include data from, say, our YouTube channel in the same dashboard, then we'll need to add another data source. To do this, we can select Resource, and then Manage Added Data Sources, and travel through the steps. Or we can simply select the Add Data option on the very bottom right corner of the interface. Now we can connect a new data source to our report. Or if you've already connected the data source to another report in Looker Studio, you can select the My Data Sources tab and find your existing data source. I'm going to connect the sample YouTube data source that's available in Looker Studio. Now we can click Add and Add to Report. We can now use this new data source in our dashboard. To do this, let's add another chart. I'm going to add another scorecard to my dashboard. In the panel on the right, we can see the data source used for the chart we have selected. So for this chart, we can see the sample YouTube data is selected. We can click this to then see the other data sources that are added to the report, along with any other available data sources that are already connected to Looker Studio. So we can see for this report, we have Google Analytics and YouTube connected. Okay, let's change the metric for the scorecard to show the total number of views. We now have a dashboard that includes data from two data sources. We're keeping things simple today, but remember you can now make use of all the different visualization options in the report. Now I want to show you how to merge data using a blended data source. You can use this if you have information from two different data sources that you want to combine. For example, if you had separate Google Analytics properties and you want to combine the data to create a roll-up report. Before we create a blended data source, let's add one more data source to our report. Let's connect another Google Analytics property to Looker Studio. Let's click Add Data on the bottom right corner. Let's select Google Analytics. I'm going to connect another one of Google's demo properties to the report, but again, you can select the property you want to use for your report. Let's select Demo Account. And I'm going to connect the other GA4 demo property. Now let's click Add. And Add to Report. Now let's add a new chart to our report. Let's add a time series. We can see under the Setup tab that this chart is using the data source we just applied. Let's click Blend Data to create a new blended data source. To make a blended data source, you'll need a key, also called a join condition, that is available in both sources. This basically needs to be a piece of information available in both data sets. For example, we might use the dimension of date to combine data. We can then present the total number of users for both data sources by the date. We can see our existing data source on the left, so let's click Join Another Table. And let's select the GA4 property for the Google Merchandise Store. Now we need to choose the dimensions and metrics we want to combine. We can see date is already selected. So now, for the metrics, let's add total users and sessions for both data sources. Okay, a good tip is to name each table used in your blended data source. This is particularly helpful if you decide to create any calculated fields in your report. In case you're wondering, calculated fields let you create custom metrics and dimensions in Looker Studio. To name the tables, just select the default text at the top that says Table Name. You can then enter your own name for the table. And you can repeat this for any other tables you've added. You will see the dimensions and metrics for our blended data source on the right. And these now tell you which table they're from. The next thing we need to do is decide how data should be joined from the tables. So let's select Configure Join in the middle. There are 5 ways you can join tables. Overall, the options let you control what to do if data is missing from one of the tables. For example, if there is data from a particular day in one table but not the other. If we use left outer, this means that all of the rows from the table on the left will be used, along with any matching rows from the table on the right. If there is a row missing in the table on the right, then it won't be combined in our blended data source. Then if we were to use right outer, then any missing rows from the table on the left won't be used. Inner means that only rows that are available in both tables will be used. Full outer means that all rows from both tables will be used. And cross will try and combine all available rows from both data sources. For this blended data source, let's select full outer. Now we need to select the join condition or the key to join the data together. Let's choose the date dimension. Now let's click Save. Now let's name the blended data source. Let's name it GA4 Combined. And let's click Save. Now we can see our new blended data source is applied to our chart. Now each metric is still separate. We can see we have 2 metrics for sessions and 2 metrics for total users. We need to create a combined metric. To do this, we need to create a calculated field. So under the Setup tab, let's select Add Metric. And then Create Field. Let's name the field Total Users Combined. And for the formula, let's start typing total users, and then select the metric from our first table. Then we enter a plus sign, and let's search for total users again and select the metric from the second table. Let's leave the rest of the defaults and click Apply. We can now see the total number of users combined from both GA4 properties in the time series. And we can still use the individual metrics too. Now I want to show you one more way you can blend data in Looker Studio. Let's add a scorecard to the report. For this scorecard, we're going to select the first GA4 data source we connected to our report. And let's change the metric to conversions. and let's copy the scorecard. And change the data source to the second GA4 data source we connected. Now, if we wanted to report on the total number of conversions from both GA4 properties, we can simply select both charts, then right-click, and select Blend Data. Now, this isn't quite right because it's showing us a percent, so let's select the new chart, edit the metric, change the name to Conversions Combined, adjust the formula, change the type to number, and click Apply. We now have the two metrics from the two separate data sources combined in a single chart. This is the quickest way to combine data from multiple sources. And for more control, you can use the method we covered previously, where we manually created the blended data source. Although you might not need to connect multiple data sources for all of the reports you create, it's a great way to combine data from multiple platforms in a single snapshot. And remember, you can even use the blended data option to join data from different sources. Are you going to connect multiple data sources to a single report? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel for all of my latest tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.